Mike, what are your musical influences, your favorite bands, reggae or otherwise?
I'm pretty eclectic. I'm all over. I like a lot of music, and that's what's so cool about reggae, because it has every element in it just about. So, I mean, I'm from Frank Zappa to jazz, from Miles to Charlie Parker to. It really is just like I said, just a lot of music. It's good to listen to a lot of different influences. So that's pretty much what it is.
Do you pull any of that into your style when you're playing?
I would think so. I would hope so. I mean, for years of trying to pull things out, from Americana to country, rock, funk, jazz, blues. That's like I said, that's what reggae is cool about. You can put these elements in there and create from that point.
So, when and how did you first get into reggae music? When did you first hear it?
That's kind of weird, because I remember me and little bro Gino, we had this little band. It was an R&B soul band. I remember playing Papa got us a gig at Ohio Bell. It was Ohio Bell back then, and we were playing this party. We were doing songs like the Ohio Players and groups like that, Cameo, and these. It was. We didn't realize that it was pretty much a Jamaican party, but we had no concepts back then. And I remember being in the kitchen on break, and the guy comes and says, "Hey, man, you're playing the calypso," and I what's calypso? So that was kind of my first exposure of even the word of it, of the music, which is related all. Is we were asked to play some calypso, and I had no clue back then what that was. It really came into play when I got a call from Chris Dunmore from I-Town. And back then I was in a couple of R&B bands like Cash. And I was doing my thing around town, rock bands. I had a rock band, Prophecy, and then I played with some R&B bands. And, I got a call from Chris Dunmore saying, you should come check us out at the Peabody's Cafe, and I was never exposed to it. I thought, like everybody else, I Shot the Sheriff was Eric Clapton at that point. So that's pretty much where I got it from. Once those guys gave me a call, and I went to audition, and it was pretty cool. I fell into it because it's about rhythm, having a rhythm sense. And I got schooled. Chris made me a stack of cassettes. That's how old I am. Cassettes. And I ate, drank, slept, headphones every day. I would listen. Everything from Junior Marvin all the way to Bob Marley to Augustus Pablo, Prince Jammy. I loved a lot of dub stuff, but he was pumping me up for these auditions, helping me out by turning me on to all this music. And I mean, tapes. He had this thing he used to tag him as full moon radio music. And I pretty much ate, slept, and drank all of that for months. Weeks, even after I got an audition, I would continue to listen. And then there was Dave Valentine, who took me under his wing and had me come over and jam with him and learn the rhythm senses and stuff. So that's not pretty much that.
So talk about your experience in I-Town. How was that for you?
It was, that's my mentor, Mr. Smells, Papa D. He pretty much schooled, and between him and Chris and Dave Valentine, I was pretty lucky because I was auditioning for him, and I went a couple of times. And like I said, I absorbed all this music because Chris made all these tapes to help me out. And I remember Ellie Nor was in the band, and she asked me the question after one audition. She said, "You've never played this before?" And I go, "No, really?" And I go, "Never. This is my first." It's just like, to me, it was like Motown. That's pretty much what it felt like to me. A lot of Motown music was about. As we found out, Bob loved Motown, the R&B of America. So that was pretty much how I got into it.
Then talk about your experience at First Light.
Wow, that's like I said. After we departed from I-Town, me and Carlos were sharing an apartment, and Chris Dunmore, he had stepped out of the rain too, and he said, "You guys put something together, and I'll book." Okay, cool. What are we going to do? So, we sat around the apartment. We had roof tea going on and dripping, but that was all we knew was, all we ever knew was playing. We would sit around, and he'd write songs, and I'd write songs, and we'd just go back and forth, and then we start auditioning different people. Finally pulled together. I mean, First Light, just like I-Town, went through so many different members until we found solid ground that we ended up having. But it was great, because we actually, without even knowing it, we were just everybody's putting their roots into the music. It kind of changed the course of what the Ohio scene was doing back then. We didn't even realize we were rapping in songs back then. We were pushing jazz and rock and funk. This goes back to the beginning of the conversations. All those influences was a melting gumbo, a bunch of gumbo. Good tasting.
It was.
Real spicy.
And Sammy's Good Eye came after that?
That was a side project because you never know when the muse hit you, and it was writing so much different stuff that I knew I couldn't, because we were already rocking hard. Just another way of expressing myself, trying to do things that I was writing with other guys that I was surprised they wanted to do it with. And of course I took Baby Bro, Gino with me, and I was going to audition the singer from 8 Ball. There was a band called 8 Ball, and back then Living Colour was pretty much happening. So, and I became friends with from First Light with Vernon Reed, Living Colour, and he started this thing called the Black Coalition for rockers that were us blacks, because it was making the statement of that we rock too. And I was trying to get involved in that, and me and him were talking, and I was pretty inspired by him, so I started that Sammy's Good Eye thing with a lot of stuff that I was writing. It was rock, funk, and just mixed up. So that went through a few changes as bass players and drummers went. But I was going to audition this one singer, and I remember doing all this at home on a 4-track, just writing songs and playing the bass and doing the drum machine and guitar parts and vocals, which I really had good in vocals. And I was playing it for a friend of mine who was in a band called Gangsters of Blues back then. They were popular too on the blues set. And he was on break and went to the car. I said, I want you to check this out and see what this sounds like. He listened to it and he was like, wow. I said, yeah, I'm auditioning this singer tomorrow. And he goes, really? Well, why wouldn't you ask me? And I was like, I didn't, you're a good singer. I didn't know you wanted to do that. You got a great band. So he says, you're doing this as a side project, because I was, still First Light was going on. It was like a side project, so when we got off the road and had that downtime, I could, do the other project. And he came aboard, he liked what he heard on the cassettes, and he was like, dude, I want to sing these songs. And that's how that became, and it just kept rolling. If we probably would still be going on today, just certain things stopped it from going on. And I didn't agree with it.
Were you in any other bands?
It's like I said, starting from where I'm from, the hood. Yeah, I've been in, like I said, the Maple Heights and Cleveland. I've been in R&B bands and rock bands and jazz, a little bit of jazz, a little bit of blues. But these bands were, like I said, neighborhood bands where, we started branching out. There was like Prophecy, and there was, I can't remember, because every time I leave a band, I give it to Gino. I got somebody to replace, so I wouldn't leave people hanging.
Right.
It's like, I can't do it anymore. I got to move on, or I'm doing something else. So I got to, and everybody loves Gino, we know.
Yeah.
So it was easy. Like, okay, your brother, yeah, let's get him in there. So he got in there, but he'll tell you the same thing. It's just, I had so many bands that I started and funked and joined bands, and just for the experience of learning more and more. Nothing better than falling up and falling down and getting back up, kind of thing. Learn from your mistakes.
Right.
Did you have any really unique experiences that you can share over the years?
Unique in what sense?
I don't know. Just anything that really surprised you?
I just, being blessed is the thing. Is I teach and I tell my students, you don't have to actually be on stage to really enjoy what you do as a musician. The writing process and just finding people that are really listen to you. That's what the scene now has changed a lot musically. With all the computer and digital stuff going on, and Facebook and Reverb Nation and iTunes and all this stuff. And back then, you really had to hustle. So it was really word of mouth and a lot of flyers and posters. And nowadays, just you do everything off the computer, which I'm trying to catch up to.
Mm-hmm.
But it's unique. It was just the whole process is unique to me. It's just wild that people actually respond to things that you do. And it's just that luck. It's a part of luck, right place, right time, and just being persistent. I believe. But you don't have to be on the cover of Rolling Stones to feel good about what you do.
What do you think about the Cleveland reggae music scene today versus the First Light and Outlaws days?
It went underground and it goes. It's like everything else. It has that movement, just like water as the currents move and they go up and down. It's never really left the scene at all. It's just that, you know, the new youth that are out here now doing it are expanding just as First Light did. We didn't realize we were throwing rap and jazz, but they do. What they should realize is what they're taking from the history of it and what they're turning it into. But it's a big difference. The whole music scene in general is totally different than the way it was, which that's what time is about. It changes, either for the good or the bad. But you know your history to do your future. And that's why say when you were asking me about influences, you respect the influences because it's how do you think you're doing what you're doing? You're turned on to something. And there's this generation and my generation and that generation. It ever changed, baby boomers, the X generation. I mean, it's just ridiculous how we get labeled. It's all called growth. You live, you die. That's pretty much it. Everything between you learn or you don't. But the reggae scene, I'm glad there's like you guys, and then there's the reggae family, and then you've got all this stuff, and of course Carlos is going strong, and there's all these different varieties of reggae that's out there, which goes back to the point that I started with. Everybody's influenced one way or another, either by us or by Bob or by Peter Tosh or by Augustus Pablo, who's one of my favorite guys, Prince Jammy. I mean, it's influenced, and then Marvin Gaye. I mean, we can keep flipping that wheel around and around because there's so much to draw from. Went to see Carolina Chocolate Drops last night. Great. We were kind of being sarcastic, but not. But people don't know histories of things, of the instruments. Like the banjo basically comes from Africa. Nobody's paying attention. They think it's just the hill guys sitting there picking. No, this all originated from the motherland. To see my people out there doing that last night was so cool. Yeah. So cool. I mean, they brought back and made me go home and listen to stuff I haven't listened to since growing up. Old blues, and it's just it was really a good show and really influenced us all. We were all together. Me, Dave, Chris, Rodney. We all went to see him. We made a comment and said, man, last time I see a black guy playing banjo. Like these guys were playing it. I mean, they were really unique. But that's what I mean about the influences. Even they said as they came out and performed was, you'll hear a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, but it is what it is. And they actually gave you a little history for the folks that didn't know about where banjos come from and how they expanded. And they were all from different nationalities.
Any final thoughts or comments you want to make?
Just keep pushing, and the reggae family stick together. We're only as strong as it is. The weakest link can mess you up, I guess. But like I said, I'm just happy and blessed that we're doing what we're doing and continuing to do it. And the youth is making strong.
Right. When's the EP coming out, or the album?
Oh, thank you.
See?
Yeah, good plug. I'm off into the sun and the moon and the skies. We're actually, I didn't get the deadline that I wanted, but we're definitely almost there. We had some setbacks. We have some surprises on there. The horns and a couple of people we know came in, and actually special guests that really helped us out. And that's another thing. Speaking of the musical community that we have. It was really cool that the special guest that came and I called and asked to help me out on this CD because it's all done in the basement. Rally. Nobody choked, nobody asked for anything. They came in and said, chop whatever you need. We want to help it, we love it. I mean, they play like they were getting paid, and that's why I say I'm blessed, and I really appreciate that. But yes, we are close. We are down to guitar, dubs, vocals, and a little bit of patching it up, and then the hard part, mixing it. But hopefully, July, August, hopefully by the middle or the end of August, we'll be ready to do it. So I hope you guys pick it up and listen to it. It's a 5-song EP. It's going to be sweet.
And so we'll hear about that on the Outlaws page, of course, and the website, outlawsreggae.com.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
All right.
I got to get a fish sandwich.
Okay. Bye.
I'm hungry.